What are the four primary functions a valve performs in a process plant? Isolation, blocking flow completely, on-off. Regulation, adjusting flow or pressure, throttling. Non-return, letting flow go in only one direction, check. Safety, releasing extra pressure to protect pipes, relief. How does a block valve differ from a control valve in engineering terms? A block valve is like a light switch, fully on or fully off. A control valve is like a dimmer switch, it continuously moves to fine-tune the flow or temperature. What is the purpose of a check valve, and where is it typically installed? It acts as a one-way street for fluids, preventing backflow. It is usually found at the exit of pumps to stop fluid from rushing backward when the pump stops. Differentiate between a manual valve and an automated valve. A manual valve is turned by a person using a hand wheel. An automated valve is moved by a motor or air pressure actuator and can be controlled remotely from a computer. What is a double block and bleed (DBB) arrangement and why is it used? It is a safety setup with two main valves and a small vent in the middle. It ensures that if one valve leaks slightly, the fluid escapes through the vent rather than reaching a worker during maintenance. What does the term trim refer to in a valve context? Trim is the group of internal parts that actually touch and control the fluid, like the plug and seat. These are the parts most likely to wear out or rust. What is the operating principle of a gate valve, and in which services is it preferred? It uses a sliding gate to block flow. It is great for fully opening or closing large pipes, but you should never use it to throttle, half open, because it will vibrate and break. How does a globe valve achieve flow regulation? Fluid makes an S-turn through the valve while a plug moves up and down. This design makes it the best choice for precisely controlling, regulating flow. Describe the construction and advantages of a ball valve. It uses a ball with a hole in the middle. Advantages: it's fast, 90-degree turn, seals very tightly, and doesn't block the flow at all when open. What is the difference between a full-bore and reduced-bore ball valve? Full-bore, the hole is the same size as the pipe. Reduced bore, the hole is smaller than the pipe. It is cheaper and lighter but restricts flow slightly. When would a butterfly valve be selected over a ball valve? A butterfly valve uses a rotating disc. It is much lighter and cheaper for very large pipes compared to heavy ball valves. Describe the operating principle of a diaphragm valve. It uses a flexible rubber sheet to pinch the flow shut. Because no metal parts touch the fluid, it is perfect for acids, slurries, or medicine food production. What is a plug valve and how does it differ from a ball valve? It uses a cone-shaped plug instead of a ball. It has a larger sealing area, which makes it better at handling dirty fluids like sandy oil or gas. What is a needle valve and when is it used in instrumentation? It has a tiny, sharp needle for extremely precise control of very small flows. It is mostly used for gauges and lab equipment. How is a manually operated gate valve represented on a P&ID? It looks like a bow tie symbol. If it's manual, it will have a simple T-bar or wheel icon on top. How are actuated, automated valves distinguished from manual valves on a P&ID? They show the valve bow tie with a shape on top, like a circle or square, which represents the motor or air-powered actuator. What does a globe valve look like on a P&ID and how is it tagged? It's a bow tie with a dot or line in the center. It is usually tagged with letters like FV, flow valve, or PV, pressure valve. How is a safety relief valve, PSV, symbolized on AP&ID? It is drawn as a valve with an angled pop-off line, indicating that fluid is released to a safe vent or the atmosphere if pressure gets too high. What is the P&ID symbol difference between a fail-open, FO, and fail-closed, FC, control valve? An arrow on the drawing shows what happens if the air power fails. An upward arrow means it springs open, FO, and a downward arrow means it snaps closed, FC. How is a check valve shown on AP&ID? It is a bow tie with a small arrow inside that points in the only direction the fluid is allowed to move. What is the most common valve body material for general hydrocarbon service and why? Carbon steel. It is strong, easy to weld, and the most cost-effective choice for standard oil and gas pipes. When would stainless steel 316 SS be selected for a valve body over carbon steel? When the fluid is corrosive, like acids or seawater, or for hygiene, like food or medicine. It doesn't rust or pit like carbon steel. Why is duplex stainless steel, example, 2205, used in source service offshore applications? It is much stronger than regular stainless steel and resists cracking in harsh offshore environments. Being stronger allows the valve to be thinner and lighter. What seat and seal materials are common for cryogenic valve service, example, LNG? Teflon, PTFE. Standard rubber becomes brittle like glass in extreme cold, -46 degrees Celsius or lower, but Teflon stays flexible. What is NACE MR0175 ISO 15156 and how does it affect valve material selection? It is a safety rule for SOR service, toxic HS gas. It ensures the metal is treated so it won't suddenly shatter when exposed to the gas. What standard governs control valve seat leakage classification? ANSI FCI 722. It ranks valves from Class I to Class 6 based on how much they leak while closed. What is the leakage allowance for ANSI FCI 72 to Class 4 and when is it typically specified? Class 4 allows a tiny amount of leakage, 0.01%. It is the standard for most control valves where a perfect seal isn't necessary. What does ANSI FCI 72 to Class 6 mean and when is it required? It means bubble-tight, zero visible leaks. It is required for emergency shutdown valves where any leak could be dangerous. How does the leakage class requirement relate to SIL-rated shutdown valves, XVs? For high-safety systems, SIL, the valve must be reliable. If it leaks when it's supposed to be closed, the safety system fails. Therefore, Class 6 is usually required. What is the difference between seat leakage class and fugitive emission class? Seat leakage, fluid leaking inside the pipe past a closed valve. Fugitive emission, fluid leaking outside the valve into the environment, usually past the stem. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, share, comment. IIQA